Welcome to the Fran Snyder Podcast, brought to you by Listening Room Network and our friends at TrueFire.com. Today's guest, Esteban Gonda, a flamenco guitarist from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I believe we are live with Esteban Gonda. ¿Cómo estás, amigo?
Muy bien, muy bien. I am very happy to talk to you again after all these years. I'm also very honored to be part of this Listening Room project.
Oh, it's wonderful. Great to talk to you again. So we met because I love telling this story. So I wanted to flashback because you know how sometimes you tell a story so many times it starts to change.
Yeah, of course.
And so I want to make sure that you can correct my memory.
It gets bigger.
It gets bigger. It gets bigger, exactly. So it's 2013. I was going to Argentina from Florida for the first time. And I know a little bit of Spanish, but I'm not fluent, right? So I can understand better than I could speak. So I go to Argentina, take the 5,000-mile flight. It's incredibly far.
Yeah.
And I had never been to South America before, but I did some research before going because I knew that I was going to be there for 3 weeks. And it would be great if I could meet some musicians in the area. And 2013, Facebook was already happening, but I still had a bunch of connections on MySpace. And I think that's where I reached out to you, was on MySpace. Musician research to see if I could actually make some friends ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
And I had a few conversations, and you and I just had a very brief conversation, but I said I would look you up when I was there. And I didn't really follow through. And I landed in Buenos Aires. I had a very stressful first day trying to get a SIM card into my cell phone and all this kind of stuff. But I did connect with a woman that was just nice. It wasn't like a romantic thing, but she offered to take me to show me around town a little bit. And we went to a restaurant. I told her I wanted to see flamenco and have some steak. I'm in Buenos Aires. So she goes, okay, perfect. I know a place. I think it was a Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah, it was a Tuesday actually.
Yeah. So we walk into this place, and for me, it's dinner time. It's 7:00, but it is quiet. It is so quiet. And there's some musicians.
7:00 here. 7:00 here. It's the coffee time.
Yeah. So there's musicians setting up. And we have to wait for a table because it seems like maybe they just opened the doors. And we sit down, and I'm watching the band set up because I'm excited to hear some flamenco music. And this guy walks up to my table, like we, see each other, and you walk up, and you go, "Are you Fran Snyder?"
That was amazing, man.
And so the fact that you recognized me, blew my mind. And of course, the girl that I was with was like, this gringo, this American says he doesn't know anybody here.
He's famous.
Yeah, she thought I was famous. It was
Fran,
hilarious.
you're so famous here.
It was hilarious. And I recognized you too once you said hello, and we connected. But it was just amazing to just randomly run into you on a Tuesday night.
Well, that's a very, very, very happy coincidence because when you wrote me using, I think, Messenger or something like that. Yeah. I was also very excited to share experiences with people from other countries, with different cultures. So we talk for seeing us on the weekend. Mm-hmm. On a gig that I have this, so that I wanted you to see something more rehearsed. I don't know if
rehearsed. That's right.
So that gig on a Tuesday on a thematic Argentinian restaurant was absolutely improvised. I went there with my partners, with the flamenco dancers and the singer. And when I saw you the first thing I thought that, well, it can be possible. It can't be possible. Oh, these guys who wrote me last week, but he has the same hair. I thought he has that glasses. I think, and well, but it can be possible. We are 44 million people here in Argentina. Well, this can't be possible. So I saw you with this girl, and I reached the table. I walked to your table, and I took the risk because I wasn't sure that was you actually. When I told you friend, and you look at me, oh yeah, this is the guy. So it was very funny because the girl looked at me, and well, she went astonished. I think.
Yeah, I think
that was very funny.
All three of us were astonished. What are the odds? So
and then we see again on the weekend on the actual on the real date that we had.
So I want to get into this too about how flamenco is promoted in Buenos Aires.
Right.
The music culture there is so different from here, not just in the styles, but the way it operates in some ways. I don't want to lose my train of thought here. So yeah, so we went to, I forget the name of the place, but you had a small troupe. This was your rehearsed show. You had maybe 3 female dancers, 1 male dancer. It was you and 1 other guitarist and somebody playing cajon. I think that's my memory.
That's perfect. The guy who plays cajon, he was the singer also.
That's right. But there wasn't a lot of singing. Like he sang maybe every other song or every.
Yeah, because flamenco has different moments. Flamenco has moments in which the dance goes through the most important, took the most important place, and then the guitar, and then the singing. It's not always happening everything at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So if you are brand new in Buenos Aires and you go see a flamenco show, is that the most typical arrangement? Is guitar, percussion, dancer?
And
singing. So normally it's 3 to 5 people.
Flamenco can be doing with just 3 people, right? 1 guitar, 1 singer, and 1 dancer. With 3 people, you have the whole flamenco structure, the principal flamenco structure. Of course, you can make solo concerts with the guitar. You can't make solo concert of singing because if you don't have an accompaniment, it doesn't sound good. But I think the most traditional is 3 people, and you can add another guitar, or you can add another dancer, or you can make it bigger,
right?
For a theater, for example.
But if you go to a flamenco show and you don't know what it's going to be, most likely it's going to be 3 to 4 people.
Yes, 4.
Usually 4. Okay. And
because normally, 2 dancers.
Normally 2 dancers, because 1 dancer can't be up there the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Hard work. It's so intense. I've never seen such intense facial expressions as I saw on the flamenco dancers.
That's right.
It was, it's just so incredibly passionate. Whereas the guitarist can be passionate, but there's more of a comfort.
Yeah, guitar is more intellectual sometimes. It's more technical, more difficult, more intellectual. You have to think on the harmonies, the scales, and also accompanying the singing and the dancing. But when the dance begins, he's the solo artist. He's acting, so its expression of his face on the whole body, it's telling a story. Because, flamenco has a lot of background of persecution of the gypsies, and those stories, those feelings come with dancing.
One of the things that I didn't know was that the dance is not improvised in most cases. There is a specific story that they are telling through specific movements about the song, right? So it's super traditional. There's I think Hawaiian music is the same way. There are certain movements that go with certain parts of the song, and when you hear that song, you're going to see a similar dance, maybe slightly interpreted differently, but
that's right. That's correct. The dance tells its own story. The dance it's based on the music, but the music accompanies the dancing. The dancer is the boss at that point. The dancer always has its own choreography based on the traditional choreographies, and they recreate some patterns, some movements based on the basics steps, dance steps, basic steps of that genre, that style in particular, because flamenco, it's a bunch of music styles that integrates flamenco. So each one of that styles has its own choreography, has its own basic steps.
So you're saying flamenco is actually based on multiple different styles of guitar music?
Yeah, it's a mixture. It's a mixture of cultures, starting at that point.
Does it predate jazz? Is it before jazz? Because flamenco was popular in the 1910s, 1920s, right?
1920s. Yes. Mostly on the traditional families. Mm-hmm. Maybe mostly on the gypsy family, mm-hmm. not maybe on the big theaters.
Right.
That 1920, it was a very small thing.
And the interplay between the musician and the dancer, one thing that wasn't clear to me, it seemed a little bit fluid, like the dancer can slowly make her way, and it's very gender traditional as well, right? Like you don't see too many female guitarists, and there's a lot more female dancers than male dancers in general.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's say the female dancer goes out there. Does she have to start at a specific cue, or can you see that, okay, she's not quite ready, I'm going to take an extra 4 bars of this pattern, I'm going to stretch out this little part of the music?
You can do that. Yes, you can do that. You can start with an introduction with a music phrase, and when she's ready, she will get up and she will dance. But sometimes it's very natural thing. Mm-hmm. When there's a music part, when it's very intense, and it's just like you're calling her to dance. Mm-hmm. You're asking her to dance with the music, with some strummings, with some strong ways to say her, come on, let's dance. Okay. Here we are. You can trust us. Come on, let's dance.
So you're very much communicating to the dancer or with the dancer.
Yeah. When the dancer get up and starts to dance, I have to follow her. Mm-hmm. I have to accompany her.
So can the dancer stretch a little bit? Can typically the traditional dance, so like it's modular. So there are pieces where what you do has to be together, but then
yes.
The dancer
you can put different.
Okay, I see.
You can put different parts of the dance. You can make your own construction of that different parts, right? It's not a strictly closed form, but it has patterns. It has specific moments that you have to respect, and you have to do that, because when you have a public that knows,
right,
who knows flamenco, they want to see that specific part, and you have to do it right. You have to do it very good, because it's a public sometimes that it's very critical.
Yeah. So the audience is very critical. They want what they're expecting. So that's what I was trying to understand. Thank you. So there are very specific things that have to match up. The dancer has to do certain things with this piece of music. the musician has to do certain things with those dance moves, but going from section to section is fluid, and you can
that is correct.
You
Perfect.
can stretch or take shortcuts or whatever. I guess mostly stretching, but
you can make it faster, you can make it slower.
Mm-hmm. It's such a unique music. Like I don't know of anything else quite like it, and it was fascinating. I couldn't get enough when I was there. The other thing that's obviously really quintessential for Buenos Aires is tango. And I'm curious if there is any overlap between not just musicians playing both genres, but do those musical genres mix at all? Or is it two different separate?
Well, it's a very nice question. It's a very good question. First of all, we have to say that flamenco is not an Argentinian music at all. Flamenco comes from Spain. It's a music, a mixture of music that in the south of Spain, the Arabians were there. They stayed there 8 centuries. So flamenco is based on Arabic music, based on traditional folk music of Spain, and the special way of life of the gypsy. They put that together, and flamenco was born just as a mixture. But here in Argentina, we have that Spanish heritage. Flamenco, it's not an Argentinian music, but here, because we are descendants, we know that music and we like, and we had that spirit also. Mm-hmm. But tango, it's an strictly Argentinian music. Mm-hmm. Tango was born in Argentina, and specifically in Buenos Aires. Maybe it can be, tango and flamenco can be the same spirit, the same feeling, the same pain, because it represents the poorest part of the society. It represents suffering. In case of flamenco, it represents persecution to the gypsies centuries ago. And tango comes from it's an Afro music. Few people knows that, but tango, the word tango, it's an African word. It comes from the drums playing of the slaves 2 centuries ago. The rhythm, the basic rhythm of tango and milonga comes from that Afro heritage. But then the European immigration to Argentina brought those different musics, brought those different instruments, and tango became an academic style of music genre. So tango is most like based on Italian harmonies and some Afro rhythms, and of course the typical way of life of the porteños, of the Buenos Aires people here. Mm-hmm. So
I hear that word a lot in Argentina. Porteños is like locals, the people who are from here, right?
Yeah, because of the port, where
port. Okay.
The port. So flamenco and tango has nothing to do in terms of music, but it has a lot to do in terms of feeling and in terms of mixture of cultures, I think.
But in terms of when you go out at night, are there events that have both tango and flamenco?
Sometimes.
And is there any blending of the music at all? Because tango, they're both so traditional. I don't know that they would mix well, right?
It mixes well, but if you go to a traditional place of tango, you will never see flamenco.
Right, because they're not even playing modern tango music, right? Like if you go to a milonga, a tango place, you're hearing mostly music from the 40s, 50s.
Yes, because it's the best tango for dance. Because the modern tango is more instrumental and it's more free. It has some influences of jazz, and especially the great composer Astor Piazzolla, who has his formal education in New York, He was a student of Nadia Boulanger of composition, and Piazzolla doesn't sound like the 40s, but it is not the best tango for dance. The best tango for dance is the most traditional.
Yeah, it's a wonderful culture. I really love Buenos Aires. So for you as a guitarist, did you fall in love with playing guitar first and then go towards flamenco, or was it flamenco right away from the beginning?
When I was a kid at my hometown, because I'm not from Buenos Aires. I wasn't born here. I was born in Tucumán. It's the smallest province of Argentina in the north. A very nice place with mountains. It's a very beautiful place. When I was a kid, we used to play with my brother, play guitar, but just as a game, because there was that guitar at home. We make some playback with that, with tape recorders, and we put Beatles cassettes, Beatles rock, classical rock music, because my parents, they were very young. So the first thing I've ever heard was actually classical rock music, Beatles, Queen, bands from the 60s. And that was the very first music I've ever heard. And when we would learn how to play the first 2 chords or 3 chords on the guitar, we just wanted to play that songs, that rock music. I love that very much. I didn't start with flamenco or classical music. I started with rock, pop, and everything that went on the radio at that time.
How old were you when you first started playing? Was it like 5, 6, 7?
When I started to playing, really playing, knowing 1 or 2 chords, I think I was 10 years old.
10, okay.
Yeah. But then I started at the conservatory when I was 13. I started to learn that classical music, that huge European classical music. And I've spent 10 years at the conservatory.
Was that in Tucumán, or did you move to Buenos Aires?
No. I moved. I started in Tucumán, the conservatory, but then my family moved here to Buenos Aires, and I finished my formal education here. At the conservatory, I learned classical guitar. Classical guitar includes Bach, includes Tárrega, Giuliani composers, Italian composers. And there's a very important portion of classical guitar that it's classical Spanish music, that it's not flamenco, classical Spanish music.
Okay.
Composers like Manuel de Falla, composers like Albeniz, that they took some popular tunes and they took some rhythms, from the culture, the Portuguese culture, and they made some academic words with that tunes. They were nationalist. The movement is called nationalist, the musical movement. It's not about political. That composers took some elements of that popular music, and they did their compositions in language, in symphonic language. So that was what I liked the most when I learned classical guitar, when I studied classical guitar. So through the guitar, listening to Andrés Segovia, who was the master of classical guitar of the past century, through the guitar, I discovered that repertoire, that Spanish repertoire. And my grandparent, who is Spanish, he gave me a cassette that he had, a very old recording. I think that was a recording from the 1922 with an old singer, flamenco singer, and with guitar player. And I fell in love with that because its purity, because of its simplicity, but also its complexity. There are both things in flamenco coexist. So that was my approach to flamenco. I think that I was 17 when I first heard flamenco.
Okay. So let's go into this simplicity versus complexity. That's an interesting idea to me. So explain to me how flamenco is both simple and complicated.
Well, it's simple in terms of harmony, for example, because flamenco music is based on the Greek modes. It's based on the Phrygian mode mostly, and the Doric mode. So the whole flamenco music can be played with 2 or 3 chords. And
for us, that's like it's either in the key of E or in the key of A, right? You're playing off of the A or the E mostly.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. Okay.
So in harmonic terms, it's very short, the traditional flamenco. But in talking about rhythm, it's very complicated because it has a lot of mixture of measures. Sometimes you have irregular measures. I didn't know anything about flamenco the first time I've heard, so I didn't understand anything. I couldn't play with the recording at that point. When I was a kid, we used to play the songs that we heard, but I couldn't follow that rhythm at all. That was very, very hard for me to learn that patterns, that rhythm, because of the hand clappings, because of the fast of the movements of the dance. Very, very hard. And the singing is also very hard.
Yeah, that was one of the things that was charming about seeing the flamenco shows is the clapping. The dancers, when they're not dancing, there are moments where they start to clap with the music, and they're not all doing the same thing. It seems to be very much a feel. Maybe there's some understood patterns, but they're not all doing exactly the same thing.
That's right. That's correct. The hand clappings, the clapping in flamenco is the main percussion instrument. So it's not easy to play it. Sometimes you have 2 or 3 people that they are making the clapping. One of them makes the beat, and the other one makes the counterpoint.
Yeah.
The accent. Yeah. And make some different figures, different patterns. That's amazing. And they are very very well paid sometimes in Spain. The good hand clappers are very important. Yes, on the for the recording or for the world tours on the big companies, the big dance companies, they struggle for having the best hand clappers. It's very crazy, but they play the hand clappings very, very, very fast.
Yeah. I've seen, sometimes they do the brushy thing with the Yeah, it's great.
Very fast.
So you started with rock and roll, went into classical, and then developed your love for flamenco from there, maybe halfway through your studies. And now most of your shows as an adult or as a professional, you make your living mostly with flamenco music now, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, almost exclusively.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to get into the promotion of shows. In America, we do have the culture of rock promoters or concert promoters, especially for bigger shows.
Yeah.
But for independent artists, small artists who, probably don't even have a manager or a booking agent, they're booking their own shows. They tend to go to places that have a schedule. Mm-hmm. My understanding of what happens with flamenco shows in Buenos Aires is that a group of musicians or dancers will decide, hey, let's put on a show. They find a date. They rent the room. You actually have to go pay a nightclub to be able to use the room. And then you have to sell tickets to make money from the show. Is that generally how it works? Or is there a promoter? Is there someone else that is in the business of putting shows together and then they hire musicians?
Well, most of the cases is the way you have said. But there are some places that has a regular schedule of artists and regular shows, and they they just pay for you to play. You don't have to bring the people. You don't have to work on that business. You just have to play. But there are, I think, 3 or 4 places, not so much. If you want to make your own performances just the way you want, you should rent a place, and you should pay the techniques, the light, the sound. But
yeah, so you typically have to pay not just for the room, but you have to pay for technical help, which would be lights and sound.
Yeah, I have to say that
the musicians don't bring their own like we do in America. Like in America, almost all the musicians, they bring their speakers and their microphones, and they set it up.
Some musicians here also do that, but I think that I don't like that part of the business of carrying those big speakers.
Here's a secret. Nobody likes that.
Nobody likes that. I just want to go with my guitar and just play.
Yes, of course.
I have to say, I have to make justice with this thing that we are talking, because most of the time, I think 90% of the times, all those things that you have mentioned, it's done by the dancers. Yes, because they are, I don't know how to say, the audience, it's more used to go to see dancing.
So the dancers are the stars. The dancers are the stars. Yeah. They're the attraction. So when you promote the show, you promote the dancers, and then the musicians are supporting members.
Yeah. So that it has 2 different situations. I am very relaxed because I just do my work, I just get my pay and go home. I just rehearse. Sometimes I get paid for rehearse, and the dancers put that everything on their shoulders. So that's the comfortably part for the musicians. But we are not making a music environment. I don't know how to say it. We are not creating an audience that just like flamenco music and just want to listen to me, to guitar player, to singers without dance. So we are not contributing to the music itself as a performer, as a solo performers. We are always involved in the other projects. We are not. Maybe I make it 2 or 3 concerts a year as a solo performer, but maybe I can make 100 shows with dance.
So there's a lot more audience for flamenco with dance, of course.
Of course. So
and the dancers are the entrepreneurs. They're the ones who create events. And
They are the real promoters.
I want to ask you about the economy of Argentina, because obviously it's had a troubled economy for many years. Even though it's technically the richest country in South America, you're certainly rich in culture, rich in agriculture. There's so many
natural resources.
You have so many advantages there, but because of government, because of other factors, you've had an extremely challenging time financially. And I was fascinated about learning when I was there. They have the dollar blue, which is sort of like, it's not quite black market dollars, but because the Argentinian money is so has depreciated so much that Argentinians want to save their money in US dollars because the dollars hold their value better. And in America, we're really, really spoiled. We've never experienced anything like this. And you guys had a specific period called the Corralito.
Yeah.
That I wonder if you could share a little bit about how that happened and maybe how it affected your family. This was in 2001?
Yeah, 2001. Well, I have to say that it didn't affect my family directly, because Corralito was a lockdown of your savings that you have on the bank. You couldn't take your money from the banks. Actually, that was crazy. Yeah. If you have savings on your bank, you couldn't take that money for you. So the government put this lockdown for not to fall everything, the economy to hell. I don't know.
Because they were having bank runs. The people were afraid that Argentina was going to default on their debt, and the value is crashing. So everybody's trying to get their money out, right?
That is exactly, that is correct. But that was a period of time that was very critical. We have defaulted at that time. I think we go better after that. The country was has been benefited with the global situation by selling the agro products to China mainly.
Yeah.
And then it came back. Corralito hasn't came back, but this depreciation of the money, it always happens. So if there's something that we've learned after all these years, is that you have to make your savings in dollars. Mm-hmm. It's sad but true. Because,
and dollars, but not at the bank, right? You save it
at the bank,
in the mattress,
but we can say that. We can't say that.
Oh, really? Okay.
No. Well, now it's safe. It's safe now. It's safer now to have your savings at the bank. There was no more Corralito ever. So that was some kind of a black period.
Right.
Nobody wants to go back to that. Any government wants to go back to that because the political cost, it's very high.
Sure, because basically the government was stealing your dollars. If you had dollars in the bank, they took them and they gave you pesos at a lower rate.
That's correct. That's correct. That's impossible to describe it better.
Well, it's fascinating to me because, again, we've not experienced anything like this. But now with COVID, creating this huge shock around the world, and governments are printing all this money, and there's talk that maybe inflation could become a real problem here. And nobody's experienced inflation more frequently than Argentinians, I think, where the effect of that is the prices of everything go way up, right? Like your rent goes up, your food goes up, everything goes up.
Yeah. That's the results of printing paper. That's the natural result. But sometimes the government, what they do is make some order. They order to the stores not to raise the prices. It's not fair for the commerciant sometimes. I don't know. For the sellers, commercial.
Yeah, for the business people, right? Because they might have to sell at less than what they're paying for.
Yeah.
Government is forcing them to lose money.
Yeah, and what is the consequence of that? That business people they have to sell stuff in the black market without paying taxes of everything they sell, because one of the things that you haven't mentioned is that this country is one of the most higher taxes of all the world.
The highest tax
rates. But there's so much taxes.
Oh, right.
Taxes for this, taxes for that.
Right.
Different kinds of taxes for everything. Just like the song of the Beatles, the Taxman song.
Yeah, exactly.
Forcing the people to not pay.
Right.
Because you can't. If I have to pay taxes of every class that I have with my students, it's better not to work.
Right, and it's a downward spiral, right? So the people don't pay the taxes, so the government has to raise the rates even more. So they want to pay even less. So
but it can't work at all, because if you put taxes that nobody can pay, you are forcing the people not to pay.
And people actually pay cash for houses there, right? Like even like major purchases, people pay cash.
Yeah,
right?
everything we pay cash because of that. If I go to a bar and I want to drink a beer, I pay cash because that money came to me, maybe not in the.
It didn't come through a paycheck. It was paid to you in cash.
Yeah. It was paid in cash, so it comes around.
It's really amazing how people just adapt to your situation. People just figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
The other big thing in Buenos Aires was football. We call it soccer here. You've got two major football clubs, right? Boca and what was the other one?
River Plate. Rio de la Plata. River Plate.
Got it. Is it possible to not be a football fan and still have friends?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Yeah, I'm not a football fan. I'm not a soccer fan, actually.
Okay.
My whole family, they are very huge fans of River Plate.
Yeah.
And where this there's a game.
Yeah.
This is a big screams everywhere. Go!
Yeah.
And I play my guitar, and it's nice to see the game sometimes. It's fun. Play the game, it's fun also, but I don't like that kind of war between the fans. It doesn't make any sense. Here in Argentina, we are very futboleros for everything. We are very gamer because that competition, constant competition in politics.
Right. With the two, I mean, the rivalry between those two clubs is really it's almost dangerous sometimes, right? The fights and the
sadly, yes, because of the 50,000 people screaming and fighting, swearing one against the other, and then they came to the street and they sometimes fights. There's fights and they drink beer all night long. I think that is more like it used to happen in England 20 or 30 years ago with the hooligans and with that gangs of rivalities of each team.
So we're speaking in August of 2020. COVID is the disease that's keeping a lot of us home and keeping us out of the music rooms. How difficult is it where you are? Have you lost a lot of concerts? Have you lost a lot of income because of it?
Yeah. We have to cancel everything, cancel tours, cancel concerts. But I have to say that at the first time, when all this lockdown started, it was very frustrating because, everybody was worried about the money. Everybody was worried about the work. And we never knew how long it will be.
Right.
So at the first time we were very frustrated, but then I started to compose. I started to make myself some creations, focused on new projects, and that saved me because of we are artists, so we need to create. And now I have the time to make some solo projects that I couldn't do before.
Are you still able to teach guitar, or is that stopped too?
Well, yeah, I actually all my students stayed taking the lessons using these platforms. Everyone stayed.
That's great. So wow, it's fascinating. Where you're from. It's one of the most unique places that I've been. I've been to Europe a bunch, and you're in a wonderful country, and I love the musical culture that you represent, and it was fascinating to be exposed to it by you for the first time, and I'm really grateful that we've been able to keep in touch, and I'm really hoping that maybe next year we can find a way to bring you to America so you can do some great flamenco shows over here.
Well, that will be a dream come true because I have never been to America, and I am very concentrated in producing new stuff, and I would like to show to everybody, and spend time with you, of course, and some friends right there. I have a friend that lives in Tampa, and he's an artist. Tampa is nearby you.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. It's 20 minutes from here. So.
All right. Well, that's nice. Well, he's an artist. He's a ballet dancer, and he also plays piano and sings. And he's Argentinian. He lives there. We are now in a project in which I am composing musical pieces for him to dance. So I am sending this material to him, and he will make some short films for every season of the year. We are working now in the Melodía de Invierno. That means winter's melody, because here it's winter, not in Tampa. But
yeah.
I am very excited about that, and I am doing I am making some new videos for my YouTube channel, and trying to develop my skills as a player, always, of course, and trying to compose new stuff.
That's great. Well, I will share links so people can check out your music. I also really recommend one of the videos that you sent me. I'll make sure to link to that specifically, but you do a great job of explaining the basics of flamenco guitar. It's like a 5-minute.
Thank you very much.
I definitely want to share that with people. It's compact. You learn so much in 5 minutes, and really help me understand what you do a lot better. So I will share the links, and we will stay in touch. And thanks for spending a little time with me today, Esteban. It's great to connect with you again.
Well, thank you very much, of course, because of giving me the opportunity to share my music and my experiences, and to talk to you. It's always a pleasure, because in very, very short time, I felt you very close, a very close friend since that time, 7 years ago.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your winter, invierno, right? It's crazy hot where I am. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida, and it's beautiful. It's blistering hot out there. So
you can go to the beach.
Yes, that I can do. All right, take care, Esteban. Ciao.
Ciao, amigo. Bye-bye.